84 both Ramon 10 na da ba channel no so hit subscribe na hit notification bell no ma me se me drop any latest bia obeti brand when be etie na Nyankopon enhira obibia se da onya daje etie daily update news no na ye bawra ensem ne ma yes ye bawrom Fantiakwa na ense eya koye se afia Supreme Court Emma order say court no tie hearing from the NDC lawyers in as no kure ya dedi because Fantiakwa no fire kase no high court declare winner ama NDC MP no bobaka ya jemenza kure ya so na ekoye regulation could declare ma NPP fo nyina enti ne busa say na ye plan work for them to rig the election no and I say what was going on if enye court no and that's Supreme Court na ma order say NDC lawyers no sanko high court no na high court ni nti omo no review no ntimi nkoso a na kese nka ye di omo bone na eni jesonko enam se aba NDC headquarters na ye momram nyentie ensem ni bia etimi sisi ni ensem ni bia yenso yetimi agada ya de ebram ya ba de ka hu bia no menso me de emo ensem ni bi bebramo
original declaration which went in favor of your client. So if you can hear me, take on that for me quickly.
Now, what happened was that the coalition was actually suspended after the election due to the misunderstandings. And so what happened was that the day after, the returning officer called, because he needed to conclude his work. He is the returning officer for the constituency. Irrespective of the misunderstandings, he needs to be able to get his work up to a point where he either report back to his officers or conclude the work. And so he called the party agents and the candidates to come in so they can find a way to resolve the matter. That's what happened. And you see, once you are done with the declaration, there's a declaration form that you must complete, and that will complete your work. And that is where you, the returning officer, you must sign, endorse, put your name, put the date and signature, and all these things. Now, those copies had already been returned to the Electoral Commission. And so to be able to get access to these documents, you have to go to the Electoral Commission office. So that room is actually the Electoral Commission office. And so what happened was that he called and said, look, these documents, due to the misunderstanding and the suspension of the coalition, even when you meet me there, I cannot have access to the declaration forms to be able to complete the work. So meet me at the Electoral Commission office at Fantiakwa, where I can get access to the document. And once we understand ourselves, we can proceed to complete the forms. Everybody will get their copy. That's what happened. And so it's not like somebody's room or somebody's bedroom or anything.
Right.
This is the Electoral Commission. In Fantiakwa, no, not Tesano. In Fantiakwa, no. And this is the officer for the elections. So he is the one mandated by law to undertake this duty and responsibility. And he is the one who went ahead to do it. Under the law, once the declaration, the only option on the table for any person who feels aggrieved is to go to court. There is nothing like a re-declaration under the law. There is nothing like that. And a re-declaration cannot be done by even the Electoral Commission. It can only be done pursuant to a court order. That is it. So all that is going on, unfortunately, people don't seem to understand. And they think that, oh, okay, Electoral Commission can do this. But no. The law is very clear. The CR 127 regulates elections in this country. Once a declaration has been done, if you are unhappy, see, if parties and we understand ourselves, we can correct whatever mistake we feel there is and move on. As long as we understand ourselves, we don't need to go to court. Case closed.
Very well. Lawyer, thank you so much for talking to us. We'll follow the story closely as it unfolds. I appreciate your time with us. Yvonne Ikwe, thank you also for talking to us. Yvonne Ikwe is our Eastern Region time. What happened on that fateful day?
Okay, Manny, good evening. Good evening to our viewers. The elections in the Eastern Region was largely a very peaceful process until the coalition began, and then constituencies began to have tensions which went to disputes, and then the violence was happening. I could mention from Suhum, Fantiakwa North, Ayenswano, and some Adredri, and then Akwetia, where we're having the issues currently. That was the main reason why the EC had to uphold all of those results and then take it to Accra to do what we could call the collation. Now, mind you, the collation had begun in all those centers before the processes was disrupted. The aggrieved parties believed that per their numbers they had, they were supposed to have won those seats. One or two of those constituencies are flip seats. It could go both ways, Akwetia and then Ayenswano. But this time around, the EC had declared it by its figures or data for the NPP. And so the NDC still feels that the Fantiakwa North seats, probably by the figures they're having, belongs to them. But the EC feels that the original declaration by the returning officer was done under duress. That is what the EC says. Reason they had to do the collation in Accra. And so now we're hoping that as the court takes the issues at hand, due process will be followed, and then the rightful candidate who won for that particular constituency will be duly declared.
I see. So in the case of Fantiakwa North, were there any disturbances leading up to the declaration of the NDC candidates in the original declaration?
So for Fantiakwa North constituency, like I said earlier on, coalition had not ended. They were still in the process. But the NDC guys believe that the data or the figures they had collated from the polling station could make their candidate winner of that particular election. And so they're hoping that Electoral Commission declares them the winner. 2 days from Saturday, Sunday, there were no clear winner. Of course, the EC, which was mandated by the law, had not declared anybody until the evening when we saw the video that the returning officer had apparently declared the NDC candidate the winner of the election. The EC officer in the Eastern region did say that they were not going to allow for that process to be officially called because they would want to recollate the figures again and do their own official declaration. So that has been the circumstances surrounding the Fantiakwa North constituency elections and the result.
Yvonne, let me bring in now lawyer for the NDC Fantiakwa North parliamentary candidate, Isaac Mintalabi. Isaac, good evening to you. Thank you so much, lawyer, for joining us here. You went to court, applied for that, put through that injunction application. What's the latest on that? Has the order been given already? Minority leader, the Efutu MP, Alexander Penyomakin, is en route to becoming the minority leader. This comes after NPP's National Council voted to retain Penyomakin alongside his deputy Patricia PJ as caucus leaders. This also means the Efutu MP will sit on the left-hand side of the speaker, a position he showed dread for in the last few months of 2024. I want to show you more of this. So there he is, pictured to the left of your screen, Alexander Penyomakin, incoming minority leader. Patricia PJ will be deputy minority leader. Frank Anodompre, then Sawama Drejui MP, who almost lost his seat thanks to the redeclaration. He's returning to parliament, thanks to the EC declaration in Accra. He's returning to parliament as minority chief whip. Habib Idrisu, once first deputy majority whip, will be first deputy minority whip. Now, there comes the change. Davis Ansa Opoku, MP-elect for Impreso, will now be the second deputy minority whip because the Sashia Kontombra MP, Alex Tete, has lost his seat. And so he's not coming back to parliament, and Davis will take the position. So this is the lineup we'll see for the minority side in the 9th parliament. The National Council of the NPP is retaining all of them. The newbie on the block of leadership for the NPP will be Davis Ansa Opoku, MP-elect in Preso, as second deputy minority whip. That's what we are picking up so far. And so there it is: Alexander Penyomakin, Patricia PJ, Frank Anadompre, Habib Idrisu, and Davis Ansa Opoku. So that's it. The minority side will be complemented by the list of people that you have seen all the way to the entrant, Davis Opoku. I want to bring in now Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere, who is a political scientist, who will share some insights on these changes we are seeing. Doc, good evening to you. Good choice, or choices, if you like, the National Council have made?
Well, I would say good evening to your good self and to your viewers. Political analyst, not a political scientist. I think that I've already granted an interview on this particular issue with 3FM, and my views are quite simple. I don't know what the National Council saw to maintain Afinya Markins. They might have seen something that I've not seen. But at this point in time, when you have an absolute minority, then I think you need someone who can really build bridges. Because if it is a matter of the bravado, the display of someone who thinks that is on top of everyone, his shoulders towering above everybody else, and now he's going into minority and you make him the minority leader, well, then it means that he might have seen certain things that others have not seen. But if it is a matter of skill of negotiation, which he doesn't have, because if he did, I don't think that the NPP would have found itself where it finds itself today, in terms of he running to the Supreme Court to create all manner of problems for the party, that if probably they were supposed to gather a certain data to find out exactly what caused their loss, that humongous loss, probably this one would have become part of the reasons why they lost the elections in such a humongous way. Be that as it may, when it comes to the rigors of Parliament, in terms of the Hansard, in terms of the rules and regulations of Parliament, I think you cannot take that away from Mr. Afinya Markins. He really learned his ropes from that of Mr. Oseche Mensah-Bonsu. But you could see the difference. There is a vast difference. You could see that post Oseche Mensah-Bonsu's era has been nothing but a topsy-turvy fortunes for the NPP. And just because you have, I don't know whether it is youthful exuberance or someone who thinks that he knows it all and will not consult other members who are senior members of the party as part of the caucus. If this is what the NPP intends to put across with respect to the 9th Parliament, then I'm very sure and certain that in the 10th Parliament, they will still be in opposition. Now, apart from Afinya Markins, you can talk of another umbrella. I mean, I don't know whether in terms of the whip system he's been very good, but to pass a comment like, for example, that the turbidity of the water in the NDC era was far worse than theirs, that was an unguarded statement. And though he is a UCC product in the past, I will not in any way ask that he be maintained. One way or the other, they could have thought of the former, I don't want to suggest names for now, but
why not? You think there could have been better choices made for these positions?
Certainly. What's the name of this man? He's one of the Obuasi MPs, who was then the majority, leader for the finance committee or something of that sort. A very vociferous person. He speaks true to power. I think that you would need such a person at the forefront. But getting to the dying embers of the party in government, I think he fell out of the powers that be in terms of the establishment and was kicked out, and he was made the leader or the spokesperson for the economy, of which we do not know what came out of that particular committee. I see. Habib, Habib is tainted. He has an issue, an Australian issue that he's supposed to deal with. I think that matter is in court. So you could have, changed that person. Apart from that, even the kind of words that he uses, some of them are non-lexical. You cannot find them in the dictionary. Words like interpreted and all those things that he's been using.
You are accusing him of malapropism.
Oh, of course. I mean, if you check, you can check some of the things that he used to say, especially when they were facing these difficulties with respect to this parliament and that of the speaker. And you will find out he was using that particular word, a word that does not exist in the dictionary. And so the rest, I have nothing else to say about them. But if the National Council thinks that in their own wisdom, Mr. Afenya-Markins, as I said, in terms of the rigors of Parliament, in terms of issues relating to the answer, in terms of issues, in terms of Parliament, you cannot take that thing away from him. But that is not enough.
That is not enough. That is not enough. And here's what I'll say to that. And I'm glad that you came up with some names, because this is what we are hearing from the quarters of the NPP, that the leadership of the 9th Parliament will look like. There was one more person that, you know, I forgot to add, because the position of the 2nd Deputy Minority Whip, because it's vacant now, as 2nd Deputy Majority Whip, I mentioned earlier that Alex Jobonwa had lost his seat, and so that position needs to be filled. Our understanding is the contest could be between Davis and Opoku, the MP-elect for Impresso, and then Jerry, who you see on your screen at the moment. Jerry Ahmed Shaib is a first-time MP himself, and he could be also considered for that position. So if this is anything to go by, this is likely to be the leadership we'll see for the minority side in Parliament. Remember, I also said that the Efutu MP has dreaded sitting on the left-hand side of the MP, of the Speaker, in the last few months, and it would appear that if he's retained, he's going exactly there. But, you know, let's take the opportunity to look on the flip side, the incoming majority as well. What would be your advice to them in terms of making choices for leadership?
Well, I think that in their case, it's a bit dicey. I'm very sure that the president-elect will be torn between maintaining Dr. Kesi Hayford as the majority leader or making him the finance minister, or because he's been deputy before, so having been majority leader, and of course his role bringing the party into power. Obviously, if he's not maintained as majority leader, then there's supposed to be some kind of shifting cultivation, so to speak. But Ama Kofi-Buah, fantastic personality. In the past, he's been Minister for Energy. I don't know whether they are going to maintain him there or they want to do a reshuffling altogether. It will be a bit suicidal reshuffling all of them, thinking that they will want to take up ministerial appointment. They should also be thinking about having people who are well experienced, you know, to hold a fort in terms of the majority vis-a-vis the minority and the debate thereof, because Parliament is about rules. And if you don't have someone who has that well in-depth knowledge in the area of parliamentary rules and regulations, you'll be goofing. And of course, trust me, if Mr. Aban-Baben is maintained as a speaker, which I believe if it is not his health condition, I don't see why they would want to change him for any other person for now. Then it means that if they want to do that, then most likely they may bring back Mr. Haruna.
Edamase so, some of your brainy be daily update TV no so.